and the Deputy with responsibility for pupil support, and I'm joined this evening by Miss Quinn, Karen Quinn. Karen, do you want to say hello? It's a meeting.
Good evening, everyone.
And we're also joined by Mrs. Free, our head teacher. Claire, would you like to say hello? Are you there?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you.
Good. So welcome everyone from St. Mary's. We have decided this year to put in this extra parents evening for you because we know it can be a very difficult and worrying time with transition, and especially in current circumstances. So this is a wee extra transition evening we're offering, and we're offering it to each of the schools individually. So if Miss Quinn can just flick on to the next slide, we've just got a couple of housekeeping bits while we're waiting for a few more people to come in. You're all well versed in this now. All the mics are already off. Thank you very much. It's just because of kickback and things, and it's harder for us to hear if all the mics are on. I would say this evening, I know a lot of people have got their cameras off. We're happy for you to have cameras on or off. That doesn't bother us, but we do ask for the mics. This evening is really aimed at parents and carers. If there's any young people there, you're very welcome to listen in, but kind of the information is more aimed tonight at parents and carers. So we have, tonight is based on all of the questions that you sent us in the survey that we sent out a few weeks ago to all of our primary schools. So, but if there are still questions that you feel at the end we haven't had a chance to address and you'd still like us to answer more questions, please feel free to use the chat bar. If you understand that's in the wee speech bubble at the top, please feel free at any point in the evening to put a wee question in there, and if we can answer it tonight, we will. If we can't answer it tonight, we'll get back to you. Miss Quinn has been phoning individual parents because some of the questions that came in were very specific to your young person, so we have been following those up with phone calls. So again, even if it's something personal you don't want to put in the chat box, you can email us. The school email address is there. Please feel free to email us, and one of us will get back to you as soon as we can with that. And just to say, we are recording the meeting because we know not everybody can make times like this, and we know it also clashes with another event at St. Moden's. We've got so much on at the moment, so some of our parents have said that they're at the options evening tonight. So we are recording all of the parents' evenings we're doing with the individual primaries, and what we'll do is we'll send the recording plus all the other information from tonight. We'll send that to Mr. Joyce hopefully by the end of this week, and we'll get it out to you that way. So as I said, tonight is basically divided into, get Miss Quinn to flick on, is divided into two parts. I'm going to hand over in just a wee second, but I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Friel first to say hello to you properly, but then I'm going to hand over to Miss Quinn, who is going to basically just take you through what we're planning around transition from a pupil point of view, how we're preparing the young people, what we're doing at the primary 7 teachers, and what we're hoping, what we've already shared, and how we, what else we intend to do to try and work the transition and try and do it as best we can this year. And then it'll be back over to me, and I'll share with you basically information that I would share with parents anyway about uniform, about lockers, about all the practicalities. So I'll go through all of that for you individually tonight. We really just wanted you to know that, okay, we're working in a remote world at the moment, we're working differently, we're getting quite used to it, but we are absolutely thinking about transition. We absolutely have our finger on the pulse with it. We're actually ahead of the game this year, and I'll explain more about that later. But it was really just to reassure you that we haven't forgotten about your wonderful children, and we are absolutely 100% looking forward to them joining us next year, and we are doing all the preparation in the background. But just now I'm going to just hand over to Mrs. Friel for a wee minute just to say a few words, and then Miss Quinn is going to change the slide and take you through some of the pupil information. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I suppose I was just going to reiterate what Mrs. Shanley was saying. First of all, it's great to be the head teacher of St. Moden's. Some of you might not know me yet, but I'm still the new head teacher. I was appointed in November, and I've been doing this job since April, which is really strange times to be a head teacher in a high school. And as you know, there was another announcement today, so it's constant problem solving. But what I wanted to say really was to just reassure you of all the preparations that we are making. The transition programme for us is at the front of our heads. We're thinking about it all the time. We've got Mrs. Shanley working alongside Miss Quinn and working closely with all the primary head teachers and primary teachers in order to get information about your children, in order to make it as smooth a transition as possible. We are desperate to open up the school for your children as well. and that we're really hoping that we'll be able to do that before the summer, certainly before the summer, to give them the full experience of coming up and meeting their teachers and meeting their fellow classmates, etc. So we're excited about that. Hopefully, all being well, in August, it'll be a lovely, smooth transition for everyone, and things will be back to normal as far as possible. It's, as you know, been a real challenge, and but as I keep saying to my staff, it's spring is in the air, and we're feeling a wee bit more positive about things now. So fingers crossed, all will be well. I've recorded actually a video for tonight, so I'm not going to steal my own thunder by saying too much more. It's an unexpected thing that I managed to jump into this meeting, because just honestly 2 minutes ago I was in a options information evening. It's a strange world indeed. But anyway, I just wanted to pop in to say hello to everybody and put a name to a face, so that if you see me, you can say hello to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Friel. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for giving up your time this evening to come along. My name is Miss Quinn, and I'm one of the deputy head teachers in the school, along with Mrs. Shandley, with responsibility, excuse me, for the primary 7 transition. So we just wanted to say hello to you, first of all, and to let you know that we are doing a lot behind the scenes. We have not forgotten about your children, and we are really, really looking forward to them coming up to St Modens. So we've been doing quite a lot in the background with them. Mrs Shandley and Mr Curran have already spoken to the primary 7 pupils back in November. There was a meeting, and they've already sort of spoken to pupils. And Mrs Shandley and myself have spoken to the head teachers and the primary 7 teachers, and we did a presentation to the primary 7 teachers a few weeks ago, showing them a website with lots and lots of information on it that they can use in the virtual world to share with your children. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you that website just now and take you through all the things that your child's teacher has, that we've given them to help with the transition. So if you bear with me just a second, I'm just going to present. Sorry, give me a second. Mrs Shandley, can you present mine? Doesn't seem to be letting me.
I can try. This is technology for you. We're all...
Oh, really sorry, folks. And I normally do this every day with my classes. Oh, wait a minute, I've got it.
Oh.
I should be able to do it now.
Oh, do you want me to stop again then?
Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so hopefully you can see a website or a web page that we've actually created, and we gave this.
I certainly can't see anything yet. I don't know if.
Is it not coming up? No.
Oh. I try from this side.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Sarah, you can maybe start to just talk through the bits, and meanwhile
okay.
I'll...
Thank you. So this website that we've produced includes lots and lots of important information for the primary 7 teachers to share with their children, right? With your children. It contains a couple of booklets that are really, really important. So it contains a booklet from the educational psychologists, a booklet that the educational psychologists in Stirling have produced for us. And that booklet just talks about what transition's like for young people and gets the young people to think about transition and how they can help themselves through the transition. So there's information on the website about who we are, and then there's the information in a booklet. And the booklet is from the educational psychologists. And the primary 7 teachers can use this to discuss transitions with your children. So it just takes them through what a transition is and how best to cope with a transition from the psychologist's point of view. So it gives them lots of really, really good hints and tips as to what they can actually do to prepare themselves for this change that they're going to have. There is also another booklet produced by one of our first year PSD teachers. Now, PSD teacher is a pupil support teacher, and they spend 10 minutes every day with the classes. So they'll get to know your child really, really well. And Miss Patterson, who's one of our first year pupil support teachers this year, has produced this booklet to help the primary 7s make that transition. So it's a wee booklet all about them and what they're looking forward to, what they'll find when they come up to high school, and all the different things that are in a high school that might be different from what they would normally have in primary. Then if you move down the page, there is a lovely wee video clip that your young people hopefully will have seen, your children will have seen, from our pupil council members, telling them a bit about the school. Because it's fine for us to talk about the school, but really we want the young people to talk about what the school's really like. And so that wee video clip is for the pupils, from pupils in St Modens, to tell them what it's like in St Modens. And then underneath that, there's a series of lots and lots of different lessons provided by the different departments in the school. Because your children can't come up to the school or haven't been able to come up to the school in the way that we normally would have for the series of lessons, we thought that this was another way that we could actually do it. So individual departments have put up lessons there that the primary teachers can put on and show the young people. So there's lots and lots of variety there from each of the different departments. So wee video clips, wee video lessons, worksheets that they can work through to try, because we can't get them physically into the school at this stage, we thought we still want them to have an experience of St Modens. So the teachers in the departments have gone through each of these different parts. Before Christmas, there were 2 live meets with your children and members of St Modens. And I think primary, the first year pupils had answered some of their questions. So we're going to repeat that after Easter, a couple more Google Meets just to discuss if they've got any questions. Now that they've had some of the input from the secondary, from the high school, they might have more questions. So we're going to do a couple of meets and try and get our first years to answer the questions for them, so that it's not just coming from us as teachers. So we have already started the process. The primary 7 teachers have already started to provide us with information. Now, normally we wouldn't do this activity until after Easter, when we would start to collect the information, but we decided that we would start it earlier this year because we know that in a virtual world things take a wee bit longer. So we decided that we really needed to start it early, and so we've already started to collect information about your children. So just basic information about what they like, what they don't like, who their friends are, that kind of information that their primary teacher has. Now, the Mr. Curran, who's going to be the principal teacher of PSD for your children, he has a meeting with primary 7 teacher this week to discuss your children. So he gets all the good information about them to pass on to the teachers in St Modens. So as I say, we are gathering that information, and we'll continue to gather that information until they arrive in St Modens. We don't really know what's going to happen after Easter. We know that we're going back to school, hopefully, and that's happening. We just had the announcement today that we'll all be back in school, and your children will be back in school from the 15th of March. And hopefully, as Mrs. Friel said, we'll get some opportunity to get them up into St Modens, but we don't really know what that's like at this point. But as soon as we do know, we will let you know. We will let you know as soon as we know when they can actually come up to the school. Anyone that has additional support needs, Mrs. Shanley's already said, if you had any sort of questions on our survey, then I have contacted you. Well, I've asked for your contact details so that I can phone and speak to you about things like that. There might be enhanced transitions for some pupils, and Mrs. Workington, who is our principal teacher of additional support needs, will attend meetings for any children that has additional support needs to make sure that we are providing as much support as we possibly can for your young people when they come up to the school. Last year there were some personal visits around the school, some visits for children that maybe had additional support needs, and we would hope to maybe do those again this year, but it will be dependent on what the information we get from the Scottish Government. But if we can do enhanced transitions, we definitely will be doing them this year. We'll do our best to make sure that your children are supported as much as possible. In August, when they arrive in August, we will do a couple of induction days where they will get information from their PSD teachers. If we haven't been able to have them physically up in the school, we'll do a wee bit of that information on those days before they actually start to move into their own classrooms and run their own timetable, just to allow themselves to become familiar with the school and the activities of the school. So that will happen. So thank you very much. That's the information that we've so much that we're gathering for your children just now. I'm going to pass you on to Mrs. Shandley, who's going to tell you a wee bit more.
Well, I'm going to hopefully be able to share my screen again and share some information for parents. But as Ms. Quinn said, we're working hard behind the scenes to make sure that we're gathering all the information for the pupils and that we are getting as accurate information as we can. But the one thing that we did say is that we recognise if we do get information now, things might change. So it is our intention to go back to the primary schools again before the end and make sure that we have all of everything that we need. So I'm hoping that you can now see the parents information website. And if you can't, if somebody can unmute and let me know, but I'm hoping you can. Oh, good. Okay. So we tried to think about, from the questions that you had sent in to us and the information, I would normally do an open morning in June time with parents and just kind of answer any final questions and things. So we've just really brought that information forward a wee bit because we know it is a tense time and people are thinking about these things. So this website that we're sharing tonight, you're the first people to see it. We will share the link with you again through Mr. Joyce. We'll give him a recording of tonight and we'll give him a copy of a link to the website. Once we've done all of the individual parents' nights over this week and next week, we will then embed it into our main school website. So you'll be able to find it from there as well. But we'll give you it on Friday as a wee kind of extra in advance. If you are opening it on a laptop, you'll see across the top that we have 3 different pages on the website. We've got the home page, which is I'll take you through in a second. Then we have practical information. And then we have your frequently asked questions, and we've tried to give answers as best we can. If you open it on a mobile phone, you will find that comes up here in a wee box, and you'll still find your 3 tabs, but it'll look slightly different. So the website starts with, basically we said a home is just a welcome for you, just to explain how it all works. There's the lovely wee video that Mrs. Friel has recorded, and that really is, we would encourage you to let your young people hear that and see Mrs. Friel, because she really is speaking directly to the young people in her welcome. So that will be there for you to share with your young people, and hopefully they'll, again, it's familiarization for them. Because last year when they were up in their primary 6 visits, they met Mr. O'Neill, who was the previous head teacher. So now it's an opportunity to meet the new head teacher, so they'll know what she looks like and have a sense of that as well. So all of the information here will be for you to go through in your own time. There's lots there about our visions, values and aims, which is very much what Mrs. Friel talks about. Here we've given you the contact details of anyone that you think you might need to contact. So head teacher, we have 4 deputies. Well, Miss Quinn and I share the post, but we have 4 deputies. But the ones that you'll need for first year the details are here, myself and Miss Quinn. The principal teacher for the primary 7s coming into first year is Mr. Steve Curran. So then there's also the PT additional support needs, who's Christine Workington. And then we obviously have the principal teacher, the autism provision for any pupils going specifically to the autism provision. We've given you 2 different we've actually over the course, we've given you 3 different email accounts to email. If it's an issue around pupil support, personal development, anything to do with that, or an ASN matter, you can use this email. If it's for the autism provision, it's that one. And if it's just a general, Mrs. McFarlane, who many of you will know, has been in the school for many, many years and has helped me with transition for as long as I can remember. So she is she knows the answers to most things. So I've given you her details there as well, and how to contact her if you've got questions. These are just the key dates that Miss Quinn mentioned, how last week we had our meeting with St. Margaret's, this week we're meeting with St. Mary's staff, and that's the primary 7 teacher, support for learning teacher, and staff from our school are already starting that process. There's copies of the booklets that Miss Quinn mentioned for you and these open. You can click on that and you can open it and you can see the whole booklet, every page of it as you go through, so you can see exactly what's been covered with your young person. Then also the educational psychologist has given us some links to some very useful articles and websites and help and support, because especially if this is your first child transitioning to high school, if it's your first child, it's, sometimes you worry about the right things to say and how you support your child, and how you remove any of that angst or worry. And even if it's not your first child coming to high school, again, this is a difficult time because it's all under different circumstances. Ordinarily, we would have had them up in St. Moden's again for 3 full mornings. They would have had lessons. They would have met people. They would have had tours of the school. So this is a very different time. So these are links that hopefully you might find helpful in order just to go in and transition tips for parents, some visual resources there, all of that information there. And we also have up at the bottom, and again, this can be opened up properly, but it's a booklet from our Wellbeing School Improvement Group of lots of resources for well-being, lots of resources and there's apps, apps you can download, there's podcasts you can listen to, lots of things around supporting well-being. So all of that is there for you. And then just at the very end, for anyone who missed the open evening presentation in November that we did, that's there again for you should you wish to have a look at that. So that's just the general real introduction to the school and a little bit about the transition programme. When you go on to page 2, the practical information, these are probably the things that you need to know a little bit more about. So we start with information about the S1 curriculum. What will your child study in first year? So all of that is there, the curricular areas and then the specific subjects. Our rules and expectations, what we ask our young people to do, what we basically how we run our school. We ask our young people to be ready to learn, ready to try, ready to take a chance, ready to be creative. We ask them to be respectful in everything that they do. It's part of our visions, values, and aims as well. And we ask them to be responsible for their own equipment, responsible for their own learning, responsible in their actions. And that will be hammered home basically right from the very beginning. As soon as we meet them, that's the 3 expectations. That's what we've sent out to the primaries to start preparing them. So all of that is there. I've put in some information here as well about extracurricular clubs. Now, obviously, the last 12 months has been very different for us, and a lot of these clubs haven't run because we haven't been allowed to run clubs. But in any given year, this is an example of the types of things that go on within St. Moden's. So again, hopefully that will instill a bit of excitement about the transition and maybe take away some of the worry that there's lots of things to get involved in. A big section here on uniform. So lots and lots of information on uniform, including who the supplier is, the website for the supplier, how to order, how to get uniform, and the 2 uniform leaflets that basically give you the information that we would expect parents to adhere to and to support us in. Things like black shoes, not trainers. We do really try and push skirts that are a reasonable length. you know, we sometimes have a battle with some young people about that, but we certainly do like uniform that is respectable in all ways. So we've also this year, there's information there because we've introduced a hoodie and we've introduced a zipper, and both of those are available as uniform, and they've gone down really well. Part of that was our pupil council came up with that idea because we were asked to keep all the windows open, obviously ventilation with COVID measures and things, and the young people were cold in the classes. So we introduced a uniform hoodie, which has gone down really, really well. So again, they'll be available for August should you choose. But all the information you need about uniform is there in those booklets. And again, they can be opened out. We've put in practical things for you. School transport, who to contact about school transport. If your child is entitled to school transport, you will be asked to present your baptismal certificate for your child, and once that has been kind of agreed and issued, you'll get your bus pass in the post in the summer usually, but you'll be contacted directly by transport before that. But any queries you have, the phone number is there. You would phone the Sterling number obviously, or the website is there as well. I've also put on the school timings. So and again, it's just practical things. Our start time and our finish time, we have 2 long days and then 3 shorter days, and how the day is structured: a 7-period day on a Monday, Tuesday, and a 6-period day on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. At the moment, our timetable is slightly different because of COVID measures. We've got staggered intervals and lunches because we have nearly 1,000 pupils. So we do different lunches. This year we've done first year, 5th and 6th year at lunch at the same time, and then 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So that there's only about 10-minute crossover between the 2 lunches. So it's half the school out at any given time, just for numbers and social distancing, and to mean that we can safely keep everybody safe over lunchtime as well, which is obviously a main aim. Placing requests, I've just put in a wee bit of information there, and if you haven't yet done your placing request, you absolutely need to get that done. The deadline is the 15th of March. Even if your child has been at St Mary's since P1, unless they are a baptised Catholic, you need to do the placing request. So you need to make sure you get that in. We are hoping, we've been promised by the council that they will be looking at them very quickly this year to allow us to get transition properly up and running for all young people, because we get placing requests from across all of central Scotland basically. So we've been told that they will really look at placing requests very quickly this year so that we can turn that around. But the date for placing requests is the 15th of March. So if you're waiting for a letter just to confirm a place, it won't come through until after that. And also, if you haven't put your application in, you really absolutely must do as soon as you can. I've then put in a bit of information about lockers, because we're often asked, are there lockers for everybody? I'm afraid there's not a locker for everybody. And we do prioritise senior school, because obviously pupils in senior school, we're expecting them to have more textbooks and folders and things to carry. And if you're doing certificated PE, you'll need a PE kit every day and things. So we have put in, so there is a whole protocol of how we organise lockers and how we give them out. And I've given you a wee link to that there if you need to check that out. We do have parent pay, and what will happen is, the same as primary, how you can pay for anything that needs to happen. You can put money on automatically for lunches and things. All of that will happen, because when your child joins us, they will get a lunch card, and then that lunch card they can use in the canteen to buy lunch, and you can put money automatically onto that onto the card from home. So that allows you to do that. All of that will transfer over. It doesn't always transfer straight away. There's often just a wee gap at the very beginning before that transfers over. So in that case, your child can just take coins or like paper money to school, and we have machines where they can put the money in. And on the first few days, we get the 6th years to take them around and to show them all of this, and to explain how the canteen works, and to explain how to put your money on your card. We do all of that, but equally, they can bring a packed lunch. A lot of first years do continue with packed lunch, even for the first few weeks, just until they get used to the school and how the canteen works and things. So there's never a problem bringing a packed lunch and having that instead. If your child is free school meals, that money automatically, once you've filled in your forms with the council, and I'll show you, there's a link down here for the forms. Once you fill that in, automatically the money will go onto the card every day, and they get their allowance onto their card every day, and then they can spend it. And if they don't spend it, it comes back off. They get another allowance the next day, and so on. So usually the link for free meals and uniform entitlement isn't usually active until probably near the end of the year. This year it was quite late, it was June time, but we would always, through the primary schools, we would tweet that out, and we would send that out to the primaries to share with you. So for further information at the moment, you can look at that website, but at the moment you would be applying for this session, you wouldn't be applying for next session, obviously. And we put a wee bit in there just about how you as a parent can get involved. We have our parent-teacher partnership, who've got a really active Twitter account, and they've got a Facebook page, and they're very keen to get parents involved in the school life as much as they possibly can. Obviously, again, things have been a bit quiet in the last 12 months because we haven't been able to do a lot of the things that we would normally do, like concerts and music showcases and the things that we would normally do. But we do hope to get involved in all of those things again as soon as we can. And the PTP at the moment meet virtually, a bit like this. They meet in Google Meet. So there's lots of, at the moment it's not face-to-face meetings. And then I'm hoping that's all the information, because we did go through the questions and we did answer, but there were then on the last tab, there were still some questions that didn't kind of fit into any of those. So we've tried to answer your questions here. And we put the survey out to all of the schools, and we have young people coming to us, and we got probably about 60 or 70 questions back, and Ms. Quinn went through them, and we kind of divided them into sections. So they're more or less into sections about specific questions about transition that maybe haven't been addressed yet, practical queries. Again, a lot of the practical queries, to be honest, are answered in that practical information section, but there were a few specific questions. Then there were some questions about day 1 in August, what that would look like. So we've tried to answer that. Support for S1 pupils, a couple of pandemic related questions. And again, if we had a crystal ball, I would love to be able to answer some of them for you, but we've certainly done our best to try and give you what information we can. And lastly, at the very end, we've put in some bits about how we communicate with you. And it's probably very similar to what you're used to at St. Mary's. We use our Twitter account really a lot, and we have a lot of different Twitter accounts, and you don't need to be on Twitter to see that. You can just go in through Google and have a look at the things that are happening. And it might be nice, if your child is a wee bit anxious about things, it might be nice just to keep a wee eye on that, and they can see things that are happening in school, exciting things. They can see about all the celebrating success stuff. They can see what's happening in different departments. And I think all of that is just reassuring that there's lots going on at school and lots happening. So we use Twitter, but we also, at the very beginning, your information will be transferred to us automatically from St. Mary's within the computer system. You won't be asked to fill in any forms or anything. The computer files at St. Mary's will automatically transfer over in our management system called CMAS. It will transfer over. But what we will do is we will send you out a data form at the beginning of next year where you can update if anything has changed. But I would say to you, one of the key things to make sure is if you change your email account or you change your mobile phone number, please make sure you change that with St. Mary's, and then it will transfer to us. And if it changes over the summer, give us a ring right at the very beginning. Our office is staffed in the summer, phone during the summer, or phone first thing in August, and let us know that. And then hopefully you will get all of the information that you need. So that's basically how we keep in contact. So that's a kind of a whistle stop tour of me taking you through everything that is there at the moment. I'm just trying to get back into the meet. Here we go. Yes, that's me taking you through everything that is on that website. What we will do is by the end of the week, we will get the recording sorted and up onto, we usually base these things on YouTube. We have a private YouTube channel for St. Modens, so it means you're able to watch it on any device. So we'll share a recording of tonight with you if you want to go back and hear any of the information again, or for any parents who haven't managed to make it tonight. And we'll also share with you the link to the website, so you'll get it a wee bit earlier than it goes live on the public website. So we hope we've managed to answer all of your questions. Ms. Quinn, have I forgotten anything that you need to add at this point? Anything we did have a thing. Sometimes you get into your flow, you forget things.
No, I don't think so. I think you've covered everything there, Mrs. Shandley.
So,
It's just if you've got any questions at all, then please contact us. You can put a question in the chat just now, or you can contact us by any of the other means that we've just explained to you.
okay, and I think that's, as I say, we'll continue to work on the pupil part as much as we can, because I say things keep changing, and we will set up what we did last year. We set up a Google Classroom, a transition Google Classroom after Easter, and let some of the pupils, meet each other and send out more information and send out different things. And I suppose that's one of the key things. And so we won't set that up just yet, because I know pupils have got enough Google Classrooms and things that they're in at the moment, but we will do that probably after Easter, get that set up, and then look at where we are, about what else we can plan at that point. So that's us to the end of all the information we wanted to share with you tonight. We hope you found it useful. We hope it's been worth your while giving us that kind of 35 minutes. If you do have any questions, we'll leave the meeting open just now, and please feel free to pop them in the chat box, and we will come to them and we'll get back to you with that information. But and as I say, I think that's us at the moment. We'll share all this information with you. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much.